Alright guys, Neil Collins recording, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel, whichever one fits. So the guys at Moza have sent me the SlyPod E to review, not paying me for the review itself, but they have sent me this free of charge to review, but I will give it a nice honest review, as always. If I don't like it, I'll tell you. If I do like it, I'll tell you. So, back on. It's a cross between a slider and a monopod, hence SlyPod. Clever. It's actually billed as the world's first slider stroke monopod, so I guess that's right, it probably is. It is quite a unique bit of kit. I'm going to go through what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then you can decide whether you want to buy one or not. Now, why would you want a slider in 2021? When you've got gimbals. Before gimbals, sliders were kind of the go-to bit of kit to get your smooth, epic shots. And then the gimbal came along and changed everything. You can shoot all day, every day on a gimbal, get some amazing shots. It's really revolutionised run and gun shooting. So why would you need a slider in 2021? I still use my slider. As good as a gimbal is, there's no way any of us have got steady enough control of a gimbal to get the same shots as a slider. We just haven't. So there's still good bits of kit to have. Now, I'd still use my gimbal way more than a slider, but if I've got time at a wedding or on a shoot to set a slider up to get some nice sliding shots, then I will do, because they can add real depth to your films. So I do recommend getting a slider in 2021 as part of your kit, and this might be the one that you may want to think about getting. Also, sliders are great for product macro photography or videography. Anything where you're showcasing products, I would recommend using a slider for sure. Maybe mix some slider and gimbal shots together. For macro photography and videography, sliders can really up the quality of your video. So let's talk about the build quality of this thing. Quite heavy, there's no plastic, it's all aluminium. No, I don't think there's any plastic on it pretty much. It's all metallic knobs, all the fittings are all metallic, the plate's metallic. Yeah, pretty much all metallic with a nice rubber handle. So to turn this thing on, you just press and hold this big button and the light will go green, bosh, that's on. And then to make the slider go up and down, you just use the plus and minus buttons. And you can adjust the speed by tapping the buttons. Make it go slower, faster, slower, faster. Right, so really nice and easy to use. Yeah, like I said, the build quality, it's built like a tank pretty much. Really nicely made, no issues there at all. And I took it out of me today and I did a few time lapses. This is great for time lapses. In terms of setup, you're going to need a really sturdy tripod, because obviously this is quite a hefty bit of kit, and if it's standing upright, then it's going to move. Now, it was a bit windy today, so inevitably there was a little bit of movement, but on a still day, you shouldn't really get much movement, provided you've got a decent tripod to hold the SlyPod in place. A flimsy little tripod isn't going to cut it with this, so you will need to get a decent tripod to attach this to, if you're going to attach it to a tripod. Once you've attached it to a decent tripod, then you really have got some really great options for some really dynamic shots. Obviously, for time lapses, you're going to add yourself some movement to your time lapse. Instead of just setting up the camera and click and go, you can set the timer on the app. So let's talk about the app quickly. So it comes with an app that connects to the SlyPod, and you can control the speed and you can set timers for time lapses. So if you want a 10-minute time lapse, you can type in 10 minutes. and it will take 10 minutes for the SlyPod to go from fully in to fully extended. That's pretty cool. It's really smooth. I've tried it out. It does work really well. So yeah, that's a nice feature. Now the way the SlyPod is set up, it's slightly different to other sliders, I think. Obviously you can get movement up and down, which is a bit different to other sliders. You can do it with some sliders, but this is really simple to do. You just set it up. You can even use the little stand that comes with the SlyPod. If you haven't got a tripod or don't want to use a tripod, you can just pop the stand on the bottom and then it will just stand upright and you can get your up and down shots or up and down time lapses. You can have the camera pointing downwards, which again with a lot of sliders is quite difficult to do. So you can have your slider go out over objects. Now I filmed my fish earlier on. Again, nice dynamic shots that are very difficult to get with other sliders. So again, decent. In terms of the actual length of the extension, it extends about 28 centimeters, I believe. So about 30 centimeters. Okay, so that's the sort of extension you're gonna get. So that's your slide. You know, fairly decent. I've seen a lot shorter, I've seen a lot longer. Obviously you can get longer sliders. So if you're looking for a really long slide, then this isn't it. This is a bit more compact, but it's meant to be like a travel slider, I would say. Now, as we are looking at this and you are hearing that noise, then now would be a good time to address the noise issues. Now, it's quite loud, so you wouldn't be able to use it for things like interviews, live streams, that sort of thing, because it's just too loud. You're more looking at your B-roll, time lapses, that sort of thing. Anything where you've got vocal audio coming on, you can't really use this, it's just too loud. Like I say, it's not really designed for that anyway, it's more designed for sort of B-roll, travelling, getting some nice time lapses, that sort of thing. Now another thing that this has got on its side is just its form really. Obviously you can carry it around in the nice little bag that it comes with, or you can just pop this in the side of your camera bag and take it with you. Yeah, its form factor lends itself to travel videos and that sort of thing. That's another positive for the SlyPod over your standard slider, I would say. And once you've got it on your old tripod, like I said, you can flip it horizontal, vertical, do all sorts of things with it. Really versatile. You can get some really nice dynamic shots with this thing, time lapses and just your standard video. Now in the manual, it recommends that for horizontal movements, i.e. up, down, you've got like a 4 kilogram limit. Now that's more than enough for most DSLRs, so yeah, this is more designed at the DSLR market, I would say. You can put some heavier cameras on it, but I would say DSLR market is more what this is aimed at. Vertical, you can have up to 9 kilograms, so a bit of a heavier payload vertical, so you can stick some heavier cameras on it. You know, if you want to try using some heavier cameras, then you've got up to 9 kilograms to play with, so it's a fair amount. Like I say, it's aluminium, it's not plastic, so it's nicely made bit of kit. Going back to the app, pros and cons of the app. Well, obviously the pros, you can use the app to control the SlyPod, dial in the amount of time you want for a time lapse, that sort of thing. So it's really good in that respect. It's not great at staying connected to the SlyPod. Once it's working, it will stay connected, but once you've stopped and go and do something else, it's very quick to disconnect and then you have to connect it again, which is a bit of a pain. Not the end of the world. Like I say, once it's connected, it does work fine, but you have to be quite near the SlyPod. You can't be miles away, controlling it from miles away. So if you don't want to use the app, then obviously you can just use the plus and minus buttons on the bottom of the SlyPod itself, which I quite like. Now you can't use those buttons when the app is connected to the SlyPod. You have to have the app off in order to use those buttons. It's either or, okay? So who's this for? Price-wise, in the UK, the SlyPod E is retailing around £290, £300, which I think is a fair price for this product, considering how versatile it is and the depths of shots that you can get with it. Battery time on this thing is about 2 hours once it's fully charged, although I had it out for longer than 2 hours a day and it was still tickety-boo, so I'm not sure. I think you can push it past those 2 hours. But yeah, £290, 300 quid, similar in US dollars it usually is. I think that's a fair price for the SlyPod E. I think it's designed for travel videos. You can strap this to your rucksack, take it anywhere, and get some really nice dynamic shots when you're out and about. You can shoot it through little holes in the rocks, all that sort of thing. It's really nice and smooth. There's a lot of options with this, and that's why I like it. I think it's great for sort of product videography and things like that. In all honesty, if I didn't have one already and I saw one, I think that looks pretty neat. I might get one of those. And for 300 quid, I think that's a pretty good price. Once you got one of these, you can add it to your studio setup. You can get some nice slide shots for your B-roll, get some nice time lapses when you're out and about. You know, all the dynamic shots that you want, up, down, vertical. Yeah, I'd recommend it for sure. And like I said, it's really well built. Can't really fault the way it works. My only criticism is the noise, but like I said, you're not going to be able to use it for interviews or things like that. But when you're doing like a time lapse, because it's going so slow, you don't really notice the noise at all. The faster you go, the louder it is. See, if it's nice and slow, you can't hear it as much. That's my review of the SlyPod E. Thanks to the guys at Moza for sending me this to review. I really hope you guys have found it useful, and if you're considering adding this to your setup, I hope this has answered some of the questions that you may have had. If you have any other questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll answer them for you for sure. If you're not ready, please do consider subscribing to my channel. All things filmmaking, reviews, editing tutorials, all that sort of thing. Yeah, I think it's all quite useful. If I wasn't me, I probably would subscribe, I think. You know, there's some useful stuff on there. If you want to learn how to use Premiere Pro and all that sort of thing, then subscribe. And if you want to see reviews like this, about gear like this, hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up. It took me quite a long time to make this one, so thumbs up would be appreciated. But that's it for this one. I'll catch you guys in the next one.